Some people experience one defining moment in life. Today's guest is well acquainted with adversity and has powerful insights on how to overcome it and live life out loud. He's a farmer, a stockbroker, an entrepreneur, and the co-creator of a framework that helps people build authentic relationships that last, called the Monument Method. Welcome to the flagship, Gaylen Wilson. Gaylen, good to have you here, man. How are you?
Hey, it's my pleasure to be here, Mr. U.
I'm glad to have you here, man. So much I want to get into with the time that we have. So let's get into it, man. So
Okay.
I love that you are a farmer, a stockbroker, and an entrepreneur. All those three things ring out to me, and they have one thing I think that's in common: a high level of risk, but also a high level of reward.
Mm-hmm.
In each of those three, farmer, stockbroker, and entrepreneur, Gaylen, what do you think was the good or bad you learned about yourself during each of those moments?
Well, first of all, you said they're high risk. I used to have a joke because when I went to Vegas, I would like give myself $20 to lose because I told my ex-wife at the time, I said, I get all my need for gambling done out in the field.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and so I've been on this podcast journey for a while, and so I keep getting asked how, because on paper, if you look at my bio, you might expect to meet a bitter old man, because I have had everything, including end-stage heart failure, thrown at me in my life.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, and fortunately, I had a heart transplant. That's why I'm sitting here in front of you now, and. But so as people have asked me this type of question over the last 6 weeks I've been on this journey, it's kind of gelled together with me why I ended up not being that bitter old man. And the number one thing that has come together for me is, and I didn't deliberately do it, it's just kind of how I was built, but it can be deliberately done, is the number one thing was I was always grateful for what I still had and not whining about what I had lost.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love the mindset and the attitude, because I know we have a lot of folks to come on our show. We talk about a number of different things on this show, because our flagship is just that kind of show. But I love that because, we could look at all the bad stuff that happens in life. I know that you have a life lived, dealing with sobriety and surviving issues with your heart, and you're still here, grateful and authentically happy to still be here and have something to offer to the people who you're still here with. So
yes.
I love that. I think you said that your greatest miracle wasn't simply receiving a new heart, but it was kind of answering the question, what do you do with the year that you weren't guaranteed? The years that you have left. Speak to the people who are probably watching this show or will watch it on replay, Gaylen, that may be in survival mode, man. They may not be thinking about stewardship. They may be thinking about, you know what? I'm just trying to just get to another day. Talk to them about that mindset. Don't crush them, but talk to them about that mindset and why that mindset is damaging and how you, I guess, reframe that thinking.
Okay. Again, as I've thought about this last 6 weeks, it's gelling together on me. Everything, all the bad things and the good things and everything that I've done in my life, because I've had to, one guy on, I did a Gamify Business Tavern podcast that was a RPG type, role-playing game type theme. And he said, Gaylen, you're a real live role-playing game character. You've had 6 character wipes in your life. But so everything, even the bad stuff, all the stuff that has happened in my life has led me to this point in my life that I'm able to do what I'm doing. I've built a 34 book publishing empire, and I've developed, I didn't set out to do this. It just, there's an old line from an old Shakespeare play that said some men are born great, others have greatness thrust upon them.
I love that, man.
And I have, all I've done is just do the next thing in front of me.
That's
and so I think that's the biggest realization, that these people that are desperate and don't see a way out right now, is to understand that they're being taught lessons that are going to serve them well later in life. That learning to be resilient is so important, especially as your body gets to aging and things only go downhill after 40.
Oh, don't say that, man. I'm well past 40, so I see things too, but I try to keep it positive.
Right.
One of the things that I think you bring to the table that I think is different than some guests I've had in the past is that it really feels like you authentically recognize that you've been given a second chance.
Oh yeah,
and there's a responsibility that goes with it. I've had so many interviews. Matter of fact, I've lost track. I'm not even trying to keep track of how many interviews I've done with people who have brought their second chance stories to our audience. More than 100 for sure. But it feels as though sometimes they quickly forget. You know what? You're kind of living in second chanceville right now. And
yeah.
You kind of put down your banner. You laid your flag down. You forgot about the responsibility and the work that's been given to you by grace to be able to keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
And I think people forget about those things. They don't want to dwell on the bad stuff. They want to be a positive mind, have a positive mindset. There's nothing wrong with that. But they forget about how you got here. Those should be memorials, defining moments. It feels like you understand the responsibility of second chances, man. Speak to that real quick.
Yeah. Okay, absolutely. They basically have given me another 20 plus years with my soulmate.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, my transplant was 8 years ago. My at my fifth annual checkup, they told me, well, that heart's yours now as long as you keep taking your medicines. You're going to die from something other than a heart problem. Because my donor was a 38-year-old that was into snowboarding and inline skating and extreme sports. And so he was an athlete, and so his heart's been even stronger than I think my original heart was before the virus attacked it. So yeah, I'm sorry, senior moment.
Okay, man, we have it.
Well,
I was asking about the responsibility of second chances.
Okay, okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, they've given me another 20 plus years with my soulmate, and Heather and I have been together. We'll be together 24 years in September, and we have had. I mean, we have our fights and everything else, but we've had a storybook relationship for 24 years. The first 12 years before the virus attacked, we never left the romance phase. And then that bond that we created those 12 years carried us through that next 3.5 years that she had to watch me dying right in front of her eyes. Wow. And I set her down on June 19th of 2018 at 9:00 at night. Said, honey, I'm not going to be here in 2 to 3 months. We need to finish getting ready. We'd been to the mortuary once, but we had some final decisions to make. And of course, she's crying her eyes out because her soulmate just told her, and we had grown even stronger. We had clung to each other during that 3.5 years. And so her soulmate just told her he was dying in a couple of months. And so she's crying her eyes out. A half an hour after I told her that, we got the call there was a heart available.
Ooh, that's amazing.
And so we grabbed our little to-go bag like a pregnant couple, and off to Denver we went. It was a 200-mile drive, a 3.5-hour drive, and we were having an eastern Colorado rainstorm that night. So
oh goodness,
the first 100 miles, the waterworks were going outside the car, and the waterworks were still going inside the car because she had switched from crying because she was sad to crying because she was excited and scared, because there was a 5% chance I could die on that table. And so they had given us till 1:30 in the morning to get there, and we slid into that parking lot at 1:15. And so they rolled me into the OR at 4 o'clock in the morning. Typical doctors, your appointment's at 1:30, but we're going to take care of you at 4. And so by 9 o'clock the next morning, I had a 38-year-old heart in my 61-year-old body.
Wow, and, congratulations, sir.
Yeah. And so what is really amazing is, as good a relationship, our relationship books are not built out from somebody that recovered from a bad relationship. Our relationships books were built on a good relationship that got better. And so that's why I feel so blessed, is not only did I get 20 more years with her, but I've also learned to grow more with her. And so about 3 years after the transplant, my type A personality was always looking for ways to pay that blessing forward. And so about 3 years after the transplant, my erectile dysfunction was getting worse. I was getting on towards 65. I had developed ED 25 years ago at 44 years old, and caught a 17-year younger wife 2 years later. So thank God for Viagra.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, wow. It was amazing. One of the complaints about Viagra is that you've got to schedule sex. Well, Heather and I fixed that by just scheduling sex often.
You solved the problem. You spent many years, man, serving, I think you said 60,000 men and couples that deal with ED. Mm-hmm. When did you realize that it wasn't an intimacy issue, but an identity issue? When did you figure that out?
Okay, so like you said, I joined 2 Facebook groups for erectile dysfunction discussion. Okay. And I got so active that the bigger one, the guy had formed it 8 years previous, and he was ready to step away, and he saw me being active, and so I had asked him if I could help moderate, and he says, "No, you could be the administrator." I'm stepping away. And then about 3 months later, I got made administrator of the second group too. And so, yeah. And so I've been administrated those groups for over 5 years now. And so one of my biggest frustrations, first of all, was men who came into the group and said, "I'm less of a man because of my ED." That's one of the biggest misconceptions in the ED world, is that somehow having a physical or mental problem that causes you to lose erections makes you less of a man. I always told my guys, ED doesn't make you less of a man. Not dealing with it does. and so one of my biggest frustrations was when women would come to the group, and over the 5 years, it's been hundreds and hundreds. And they almost all have the same story. Their man had developed ED and refused to go to the doctor and do anything about it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And his way of dealing with it was to withdraw into himself, cut off all physical affection, all emotional support. He just basically abandoned his wife in the marriage. And I always saw that as a character flaw. I mean, because when I lost that first erection at 44 years old, I was at the doctor the next week saying, "I want that new pill they're advertising." And so I actually got Heather and I into a course to become certified thriving relationship coaches, just to try to figure out that problem, to help these women, because I couldn't do anything but empathize with them. I understand how you feel. That's awful, but I couldn't fix it. And so one of the first books we read was Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. And in it, she talks about attachment theory. And our attachment theory is that we were bred through thousands of years of prehistoric evolution to have an instinct for a strong attachment to our mates. That those that didn't have that instinct in prehistoric times didn't survive, and so their offspring didn't survive, and so it got brought forth into modern man as an instinct that's just as strong as our need for food or need for water. That's why they call us a pair bonded species. and so so then she went on to say that most of the fights we get into are not about what we're fighting about, but about the fact that that attachment instinct has detected a threat to the attachment and thrown the body into fight or flight mode to try to protect the bond. Well, when both parties get in fight or flight mode, the logical brain leaves the building and leaves the primal brain, I call them the lizard brains, in control. And the lizard brains say nasty things to each other and things that aren't true. And lizard brains view each other as the enemy. They're the enemy that's destroying the bond, and so they're attacking that enemy. And so as a couple, if a couple stays in that flight or flight often and doesn't repair it, often, then what happens is slowly over time, the emotional system safety takes damage. And I always say there's no sexual desire without emotional system safety. Okay, so especially for women, but also for men, you've got to feel safe. Your emotional system, not just your logical mind, your emotional system has to feel safe with each other. And so over time, these it's staying in that fight or flight, more and more damage happens to the emotional system. So eventually the couple drifts further and further apart to the point that you've got 5 years down the road, you've got a couple that say they love each other and likely do, but there's no sex happening because neither one of their nervous systems will open up, let the body open up to desire. And so again, me being the fiddler with things, I said, I got with Heather and said, how do we stop, once we understood the attachment instinct, how do we stop triggering our own attachment instincts? And so the first thing I thought about was, well, we need to watch what tone we talk to each other in. Because sometimes you talk to your loved one like they're the worst person on the planet. And you get away with it because they love you, but you're really not getting away with it because you're triggering that attachment instinct.
That's good, man.
Yeah. And so you talk to her with a bad tone, and 2 hours later she's blowing up at you. And so we gave each other permission, and permission is so important in the monument method. Heather and I believe we're building this big, beautiful marble monument to our relationship. And each kind word or loving gesture, or especially when you make love with presence, you're building onto that monument. But each cruel word or cold shoulder or fight you get into is like taking a hammer and chisel to your monument. And so we decided we wanted to fiercely protect our monument. That's the monument method motto. It's fierce. Monument Method Institute model is fiercely protect the monument. And so to do that, you've got to make the monument more important than your ego and more important than you winning a fight, because nobody wins those fights anyway. You might win the argument, but you're going to lose the fight. And so,
without a question, man.
And so we gave each other permission. You've got to basically become a team against the lizard brains. Once you realize that, hey, wait a minute, that's my primal brain making me do this. The understanding of that helps a lot. And so you become a team against the lizard brains. And so we gave each other permission to start calling each other out when we were using tone that wasn't necessary. Honey, did you really need to do that way, or say that way? And so that helped some, but we were still getting in fight or flight and getting into the fights. And, fortunately, her and I have, over the 20 some years is learn to repair quickly. So it didn't cause the severe emotional system damage. But, but I still, I was saying, how do we cut it off? Keep ourselves out of fight or flight. And so I came up with the idea that we gave each other a
Share that
sacred
real
word.
quickly, so I need to keep on. Share that real quick if you can. We got to close out. Share that as quick as you can. We got to close
out. Okay. So we gave each other a sacred word, and ours is monument. And so anytime either one of us sees us heading towards the monument with the hammer and chisel, we can call monument. And that does two things. First of all, it reminds us that the monument is more important than the fight we're getting ready to get into. And secondly, I called it a sacred word because we made a sacred vow that no matter how angry we were, the fight stops there. But you don't separate and try to calm down and come back together, because you're going to be right back at it. What you got to do is turn towards each other, come together, embrace each other's arms, and gaze lovingly into each other's eyes and patch that little spot on the monument that you just shipped out. And the science behind that is that when you gaze into your lover's eyes, you go into that primal brain and tell that primal brain your attachment is safe. You can stand down. And so it does. It takes the body out of fight or flight mode. The logical brain returns to the building, and you can logically discuss what you were getting ready to have a big fight about.
Thank you, sir, for jumping in here and sharing your story and sharing some of the victories you had. I'm sure that there are people who are watching, men especially, on live, on replay. They're going to find this valuable. Thanks for being here and for sharing your story, sir. I appreciate it, man.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Mr. Yu.
If this episode resonates with you guys that are watching today, share it with somebody who's navigating a difficult season. Maybe they're in a rebuild mode. Maybe they're in survival mode. Reach out to Gaylen. His link is going to be in the show notes. You can definitely find it. It's going to be in the comment section. As a matter of fact, it'll be up on your screen momentarily. For you guys that are watching, you can find him at monumentmethodinstitute.com. It's also going to be in the show notes, so you can find it really easily if you are just listening and not watching us today. Definitely reach out to Gaylen, get more insights into his groups on Facebook. Maybe you want to join those if you feel like it's applicable to where you are, or subscribe to our show at They Call Me Mr. Yu on our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you for watching and listening. The difference between who you are and who you could be is found in what you do every single day. Thanks for watching They Call Me Mr. Yu, the podcast. That's Gaylen Wilson. I'm Mr. Yu. We're out of here. Have a good